Andrew and Megan seemed like the perfect couple, the kind you see in movies. They'd been together for 5 years, ever since college, and their love story was the envy of all their friends. Andrew was a successful architect, known for his sharp mind and even sharper designs. Megan was a freelance graphic designer with a creative spark that could light up any room. They lived in a beautiful loft apartment that Andrew had designed himself, filled with Megan's art and a sense of shared dreams. For Andrew, Megan wasn't just his girlfriend. She was his everything, his future, the person he trusted with his whole heart. He was even planning to propose, a diamond ring already hidden away in his sock drawer, waiting for the perfect moment. But lately, something felt off. Megan had become distant, her phone always glued to her hand, angled away from him. She started working late more often, her excuses vague, and her laughter a little too forced. Andrew tried to brush it off as work stress. He wanted to trust her. He needed to trust her. After all, this was Megan, the love of his life. He even planned a surprise weekend getaway to their favorite lakeside cabin, hoping to reconnect and bring back the easy intimacy they once shared. He told her he had a big work project and would be out of town, setting the stage for his grand romantic gesture. The night before his trip, Andrew was packing a bag, his heart fluttering with excitement. He imagined Megan's surprise and delight. As he was looking for a sweater, he noticed Megan's laptop open on their shared desk. He wasn't the snooping type, but an email notification popped up on the screen. The subject line caught his eye. "Can't wait for our weekend." The sender's name was David. Andrew's blood ran cold. David was one of Andrew's colleagues, a guy he'd considered a friend. His hands trembled as he clicked on the email. His world shattered in that instant. It was a thread of messages filled with intimate plans, pet names, and talk of a future together. Their weekend was at the very same lakeside cabin Andrew had just booked for him and Megan. The betrayal was a physical blow, knocking the air from his lungs. It wasn't just cheating. It was a calculated deception involving his friend, his plans, his life. The architect in him, the man who built things, felt an overwhelming urge to tear everything down. Revenge, cold and meticulously planned, began to take shape in his mind. Andrew's heart pounded in his chest, a frantic drumbeat of anger and grief. He sank into his chair, the glow of the screen illuminating the wreckage of his life. He reread the emails, each word a fresh stab of betrayal. They weren't just planning a tryst, they were mocking him. David had written about how clueless Andrew was, and Megan had replied with laughing emojis. They were using his own romantic gesture as the setting for their affair. The pain was immense, but through it a cold, hard clarity emerged. He wasn't going to confront them, not with tears or yelling. That's what they'd expect. No, he was an architect. He designed systems, understood structures, and knew how to build things to last. He also knew how to deconstruct them piece by piece, with precision and purpose. His mind, usually filled with blueprints and building codes, was now a whirlwind of strategic revenge. He closed the laptop, his face a mask of calm determination. He continued packing his bag, but the contents changed. The romantic dinner ingredients were replaced with high-tech surveillance gear he'd bought for a home security project. The champagne was left behind. He drove to the cabin early the next morning, the scenic route a blur of green and blue that he couldn't appreciate. His only focus was the intricate plan forming in his head. He arrived at the cabin, their special place, now tainted. He wanted evidence. He wanted to see their betrayal with his own eyes. He also tampered with the cabin's plumbing, a simple trick he learned from a construction job, ensuring the hot water would run out after just a few minutes. Little inconveniences designed to chip away at their romantic fantasy. Finally, he took the beautiful engagement ring from his pocket. He placed it on the mantelpiece, right in the center, where they couldn't possibly miss it. It wasn't a proposal anymore. It was a statement. A symbol of everything Megan was throwing away. With his trap set, Andrew left the cabin and checked into a small motel a few miles down the road. He opened his laptop, pulled up the live camera feeds, and waited. The trap was set. The show was about to begin. A few hours later, Megan's car pulled up to the cabin. She got out, followed by David. Andrew watched on his screen as they laughed. David's arm wrapped possessively around her. They walked in hand, and his heart clenched. He watched as they admired the cabin, completely oblivious. Megan's eyes then landed on the mantelpiece. She froze. Andrew saw her walk slowly towards the ring box, her laughter dying on her lips. She opened it, and her expression shifted from confusion to shock, then to a dawning horror. David came up behind her, looking over her shoulder. Andrew couldn't hear their words, but he could see the panic on their faces. The perfect romantic weekend was already unraveling. The evening descended into a comedy of errors, orchestrated by Andrew from his motel room. He watched them try to take a shower, only for the hot water to turn icy cold after 2 minutes, leading to yelps and frustrated arguments. Later, as they tried to cuddle by the fire, the cabin's temperature began to plummet, just as he'd programmed. They shivered under a thin blanket, their romantic mood evaporating into the chilly air. Andrew even used a remote app on his phone to flicker the lights intermittently, adding a spooky, unsettling vibe to their getaway. Their stolen weekend was turning into a nightmare. They were bickering, casting suspicious glances at the creaking sounds of the old cabin. The magic of their affair completely gone. For Andrew, watching their discomfort wasn't about sadistic pleasure, it was about justice. He was taking back control, dismantling their secret world just as they had dismantled his. But the real masterstroke was yet to come. Andrew had one more card to play, one that would target not just their relationship, but their professional lives. He waited until they were asleep, huddled together for warmth in the freezing cabin. He logged into his work email and composed a message. He attached a few of the most damning screenshots from Megan and David's emails, along with a short, time-stamped video clip from the cabin's hidden camera showing them together. He wrote a simple, professional subject line: project collaboration and ethical misconduct. He addressed it to the entire executive board of his architectural firm, including the head of HR. He detailed David's betrayal not as a scorned lover, but as a concerned employee, highlighting the security risk of a colleague sharing confidential project details, which David had done in his emails to Megan to impress her. He then composed a second email. This one was for the board of directors at the marketing agency, where Megan frequently freelanced. He attached screenshots of her mocking her clients, including some from that very agency, details she had shared with David. He framed it as a warning from an anonymous source about a freelancer who mishandled sensitive client information. He took a deep breath, his finger hovering over the send button. This was the point of no return. It wasn't just about a broken heart anymore. It was about consequences. They had built their affair on a foundation of lies and disrespect. He was simply exposing the flawed architecture of their choices. He clicked send on both emails. The digital bombs were deployed. The next morning, Andrew watched them leave the cabin early, their faces grim, the weekend a clear disaster. He drove back to the city, feeling a strange emptiness. The revenge hadn't brought him joy, but a sense of closure. The storm broke on Monday. David was called into an emergency meeting with HR and the board. Faced with undeniable evidence of sharing company secrets and unprofessional conduct, he was fired on the spot. His career at the prestigious firm instantly obliterated. Megan's fallout was just as swift. The marketing agency immediately terminated her contracts and launched an internal review. Her reputation as a reliable designer shattered. The news spread like wildfire through their social and professional circles. Andrew didn't stick around to watch the aftermath. He packed his bags, resigned from his job, and put the loft apartment up for sale. He needed a clean break, a new foundation to build on. He used the money to travel to see the world's greatest architecture, not as a designer, but as a man rediscovering himself. He sketched in notebooks, not for clients but for himself. Slowly the anger and hurt began to fade, replaced by a quiet strength. He had deconstructed his old life, but now he was the architect of a new one. Structure built not on trust in others, but on faith in his own resilience. The betrayal had started his revenge, but his revenge had started his recovery. He was finally free. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories.